Welcome to the At Home Workouts Blueprint Rapid Implementation Guide. This is lesson 5 of 5. We're wrapping this up. We're bringing it in for a landing. Today we're doing a deep dive into how to guarantee your at-home workouts get better results than everyone else's. I'm joined here by Rad Baumeister and Richard Lellies, co-founders of Unity Gym and the Unified Movement System. Plus, we do have our expert physiotherapist, Mr. Phil White. And of course, if we haven't met, I'm Yanni Baumeister. Remember, guys, if you're watching on the live podcast recording, the UMS Movement Mastermind, we're wrapping up the series this week that we started for our Rapid Implementation Guide At Home Workouts Blueprint, the 10 secrets to a better workout at home than your friends are getting in the gym. You will be able to download the document soon. We'll actually share it in the group. If you're tuning in from UMS Movement Mastermind, the podcast or Unity Gym channel, we will put it in the description of this video once it's ready to go.
Show notes of the podcast.
It'll be in the show notes of the podcast, as Phil said. All right, guys, how are we doing today?
Pretty good.
What's up,
Pretty
Brad?
good. Oh, just fired up. Finished my morning training sessions, ready to tackle our online coaching stuff. I love this stuff. It's a great topic because I got such a great result with these at-home programs. Hell of a lot better than anybody thought we would. There was that moment.
I was certainly shocked by the...
Yeah, there was that moment. I mean, I'm so used to training in a gym.
Should I bring that picture back up?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it, Richard. Let's bring that. Let's have a look. Richard's got a picture of me from just at the start in week 1 of the at-home workouts, and then at the end of week 12. And this is real. That is a 6 kilo difference in body weight there, which means
I don't have the before picture. Sorry.
We don't?
No.
Oh, what a shame.
After.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Well, that's my
completely
after picture.
Discredited.
Yeah.
I was.
Doesn't count.
I'm 6 kilos heavier there than I was at the start of the 12-week period, and also leaner.
And I like to say that you can absolutely 100% tell that he's been in lockdown for 12 weeks because he's so pasty.
So pasty white. No saunas. But yeah, I mean, it was just amazing because there was that moment when I realized I had to do these workouts every day, and my mind immediately
Sauna
went...
doesn't do anything for a tan,
Solarium,
just for the record.
Oh, I was thinking the tanning...
The solarium.
sauna.
Solarium.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
ones.
They're
Yeah,
illegal
whatever.
now. You can't even use them.
Really?
Yeah, they're
Cat's
illegal.
passes.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm out of the loop. Shows you how many times I used a solarium. I called it a sauna, and then I thought that was still... Anyway, I train with weights and, a lot of equipment in the gym, and all of a sudden we were like, nope, we're going to be doing these workouts with what people have got in their lounge rooms, and my immediate thought was, oh my God, all my results, all my gains are going to go. And they didn't. I mean, look at that picture.
And they didn't because of one simple thing, and we've said it this week, and we're going to finish the series off with this topic because it is so important for everybody out there who are constructing their own at-home workouts or considering the concept of, giving up their gym membership or saving some money or doing whatever. You can get a fantastic workout at home so long as you do one simple thing, and that is keep it simple. Follow proven strength and conditioning principles that have stood the test of time because they deliver better results. Do not follow what looks good on Instagram. How can I put this really nicely? Today we're going to throw some stones, people.
Stuff pretty nicely.
We're going to throw some stones.
We had a look yesterday at some of the most popular and the most successful fitness at-home workout influencers that like their companies are worth $500 million. Like they're the most successful in the world. And we had a look at just the stuff that they're posting, and it is rubbish, man. It's like what we've been talking about all week. It's these complex movements that I had to sit there and look at for about 30 seconds just to figure out what they're doing. And what we've been talking about this whole week is that really fit people, the buff people that you're looking at online, they don't train like that. That's not how they train to get the way that they are. They just show you this crap to get you in. And unfortunately, then they start selling it to you as though it's a workout.
I wish that you could look like Richie the Rig after dancing around on Instagram.
Yeah. And often the people you're looking at who are really successful don't look particularly athletic or fit. Maybe just very skinny.
That's right. That's
Really good
right.
point.
But it's up to you.
One
you
that we
and your goals
noticed
and what you
yesterday
want,
is
but
very popular in Australia. Yeah, has got less muscle on her than I have in one leg. Now, before we really start diving into this, I will say one blanket statement: any movement is better than no movement.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and if you're at the level where you really need entertainment to get you off the couch, then by no means sit there and let this stifle you to get moving, because any movement is better than no movement, you know, and just getting started is a very good first step. But if you're someone who really has big, hairy, audacious goals, you want to transform your body or you want to do something, it drives us insane watching what gets posted on social media and sold as at-home workouts that is going to deliver some sort of a result.
But we should say
beyond just getting you moving.
Yeah, we should be really, really clear who we're for. The people that we're trying to help are people that are ready for something better. We're trying to help people that are ready to do something that is going to deliver a big result, and they haven't found the right solution yet. For whatever reason, the trainers that they've worked with in the past have promised them everything and delivered nothing. We're for those people. We're for the people that are ready to go, okay, I want to try something that is going to work, that's going to bring it back to basics and deliver on the promises. And that's who we're for.
I just forgot to post up the question of the day. We do have lots of people watching the live, and I want to get your feedback on this. Guys, question of the day: have you ever purchased an online program that you think might be similar or fall into the category of what we're talking about here, that's entertaining over training? Something that gets you moving, and that's about it. You know, it doesn't have periodization. It doesn't have progressive overload. It doesn't tap into the super compensation effect. It doesn't have a proper program split, the things that we've been talking about. It's more like a dance routine than a training routine. Let us know. I want to know. You don't have to name names. You don't have to shame anyone, but I just want to know what your experience is, how long you may have worked at it, and what sort of results you got. You know, whether you got any result at all, share it, good or bad experiences. We want to know, because we want to know how you know, what may discourage you from trying again, what made you maybe even try our programs, you know, because obviously most of the people that are on the live here know of us or have tried our programs, so that would be really, really interesting to hear. And if Rad or Richie could type that up, or I'll type it up, and I'll get Rad to pre-context, or maybe Phil to pre-context the email today. Today, what we want to really reinforce is that there is a caveat to adding complex movements that challenge your coordination, because coordination is a major limiting factor in the development of strength and flexibility. And this is why we really like to bang the drum of keeping things simple. Now, when we say keep things simple, squatting and deadlifting and doing chin-ups is not simple to a beginner. You know, like you might not even be able to do those movements, and therefore they'll be very complex, and there's a lot of learning there, you know. But what we're saying is keep it to the movements that are going to give you big bang for your buck. You don't need to continually think of something completely radical and new or revolutionary to stimulate the body. There are tons of ways that you can intraset or interset overload your body to get continually level up and to progressively overload. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
The key thing to understand as well is, like, you know, we may be using simple exercise like a squat or a deadlift where, you know, they're very well known, but the real secret sauce, the stuff that makes the program good, is applying progressive overload principles to those, you know, more well-known simple movements. So it's not like if you go into a program where you just do exactly the same thing every day, you go do, you know, 20 air squats for 5 sets, like, you're not going to get a groundbreaking result. What this is all about is understanding how to apply, you know, these progressive overload principles that are so sort of well-known in the gym, but often aren't applied well at home workout. So that's what it's all about. It's not just these movements happen to be, you know, inherently better than others. It's just that they are great for progressive overload, and if you're doing these very complex movements that resemble more of that dance routine, it's very hard to progressively overload them in the same sort of way.
Yeah, and where, to add to that, where I think a lot of people that are newer to their fitness journey, or maybe even if you're not new, but if you're somebody that hasn't achieved the results that you want with the effort that you've put in the past, I think where a lot of people go wrong is that they think it's the exercise selection that they were doing before that is the reason why they didn't get the results. So they think, well, I need more than squats and deadlifts and shoulder press and pull-ups because I did that before and I didn't get to where I want to go. And that looks new. That's different. I've never seen that. So that's going to be my answer. But the truth is, probably the reason why you didn't get the results that you want is because you didn't understand how to get the right amount of volume. You didn't understand load management. You didn't do it for long enough to actually achieve adaptation in the body. You didn't eat the right foods. You did all the basic things
with the goals that you're actually after.
That's
like,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because often people will, sign up for a program that may be working on, giving them great strength endurance, but it's not increasing their 1RM or, muscular size. So it's all about trying to align those your programs with your goals. And that's where this becomes so motivating. A lot of people struggle with motivation to get moving, and so they see these, exciting out there exercise that look fun and different, and it looks inherently enjoyable to do because it does have that kind of interesting complexity to it. But that can be a great gateway exercise into, doing something at home, but you're going to get to the point where, these complex movements have kind of lost their, novelty, and you're not getting a tangible result. So where you can really find long-lasting change and long-lasting motivation comes from seeing measurable, tangible results. And so that's where, having a system that takes you through progressions, but also takes you through testing weeks, takes you through peaks and deloads. Look, that's how you're going to get long-lasting.
Nine times out of 10, the reason why people choose these programs is because they either follow the person on Instagram and aspire to them. They think, wow, look at that person, look at the amount of followers, look at their success, Instagram success. They might have an appealing physique, and then they go, okay, I'm going to buy that person's program because they obviously know. There's a saying: tread the path. That's choose a coach that's trodden the path before you. And this is an experience I've had many times with friends of mine where they say, I'm doing this program, can I fling it over and show you, and you give me my feedback? And I say, how did you choose this program? And they, a friend of mine is doing it and I want to train with my friend, and because they're my training buddy, and that's why we're doing it. And I'm like, one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about getting this message across is because you can become the friend that leads the other friend to the right drinking pond. You can be that influence, and that's what's so important, because most people do a certain routine or exercise or gym program because they're teaming up with someone who's got a little bit more experience than them. They may have had a gym membership for a year already or something like that, and they've encouraged you to come and train with them, But that doesn't necessarily mean that friend made the right choice originally.
And you know what? Probably more often than not, those savvy gym members that have been going to the gym for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, often they know less than anyone. And they, if you look at their physique, for whatever reason, they've been able to at least build a little bit of muscle and get in decent shape. But we've seen those guys that when we were training at Fitness First, which in Australia is one of the biggest chain gyms in the country, and it's where personal trainers get their launch pad from. It's a great gym to start out as a trainer. But when we were training there, exposed to thousands of members, we saw that all the time. We saw those people that were they'd come into the gym and they'd really go for it. And as a trainer, you'd walk over every now and then to try and give them a little bit of a pointer, and they had a real attitude where they really thought that they knew more than you, and you kind of go, wow, okay, all right. And then you'll see them with their buddy that comes in that knows nothing, and they're trying to show their buddy how to do things, and they get them
look, it's my story. That's how I got into the gym. I was boxing for since I was 14 till about 18, 19, so 3-4 years, and then I wanted to put on some muscle because I was very skinny, and I teamed up with my only friend who had been going to a gym for a while. He was going to the local PCYC club that I was boxing at, and I said, okay, I'm going to come start working out with you for a few hours a week to put on some muscle. And all we did was biceps and chest for 2 years, literally. We threw in some lat pull down a little bit, but every single exercise that we did was internal, working the internal rotators of my shoulders.
Yeah.
And couple that with boxing, and I completely destroyed the posture in my shoulders. I was like, it was incredible how much it affected me, and it took me years to sort of retrace my steps and repair that. And that's happening in gyms all over the country, all over the world, constantly,
Oh,
and
I remember.
So, yesterday we talked about the introduction of complex movement patterns like animal flow and the need for spinal mobility drills and things like that. But there's a caveat to that argument. You don't want to just flood your workout with that stuff and throw out all of the rhyme and reason that we've been talking about with our programming. What Phil said just before is extremely important, which is that no matter what you introduce, there must be a way that you can progressively overload it. Otherwise, there's no point introducing it unless you do a shortened program phase. Now,
And
just
it has to align
very
with your
quickly,
goals.
to give some credibility around the table here. We've been privileged to have some of the world's strongest, most successful physique models. Hattie Boydell used to train in this gym with Australian Strength Coach. She trains with people that I've been mentored by, Tony Battaji. She's trained with Sebastian Oreb. We've had Sebastian Oreb here, who's trained arguably the strongest guys in the world. He has
I've had Ben Pekulski.
He
was on the
Olympia
stage for Mr.
bodybuilder.
Olympia,
So
yeah.
and then also we've worked with people like Daniel Vadnal from Fitness FAQs and
Yuri Mamestein,
people like
Yuta
this
Portal.
who are the best in their fields around the world at calisthenics, at bodybuilding, at powerlifting, at fitness modeling, and they all say the exact same thing. What got them to where they are, this includes Daniel Vadnal, who's arguably one of the better calisthenics guys in the country, is simplicity.
He's definitely one of the best in the country. Yeah.
It's simplicity. It's doing chin-ups over and over and over again. It's doing bench press. It's doing movements that are going to get you strong. It's okay to show off doing fancy movements and to film Instagram videos, but Rad and I made a joke yesterday, when we were watching a bunch of these. I was just showing him some examples of what I people I follow to make sure that I never fall down this path. And I made a joke saying, it must be nice to get all those videos filmed so you can get to the gym and do your actual workout, because what they're putting up on Instagram is not how these people train.
Man, this dude was doing, he had a dumbbell in one hand and his other hand was on a Bosu ball, and he was doing a push-up, and then when he got to the top, he'd do a row with the dumbbell and then a push-up and then a row.
Oh, goodness me.
Oh my God, it was the funniest
And it
thing.
looked amazing, because his physique
God.
is incredibly impressive. But listen, the best physique model in the world, or one of the best, she came second last year. She has been, the year before she won, Hattie Boydell, I've seen her train. She trains exactly the way we're telling you to train,
We've seen her train many, many times here before.
Yeah, and it's not fancy. It's not revolutionary. These methods have been around for arguably hundreds of years, you would say, maybe 50 years. Yeah.
Strength training's been around for about 300 years.
So please, when you're designing your at-home workouts, do not, or going out and deciding to put your trust in a coach, do not fall victim to fancy. Do not fall victim to circus tricks, Hire a trainer, don't hire an entertainer. It's so important. Now, for all of you watching on the live, I'd love you to see that question of the day and give us your feedback. Give us your feedback on your experiences with at-home workouts, with online
programs. Have
programs,
you ever bought an online program that failed to deliver? What was your experience?
Or delivered. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know what experiences you've had, because I want to know whether, what the principles were that delivered, or maybe identify why it under-delivered, and that'd be really, really cool. So what we want to leave you with today is a rule that we like to adopt here called the 80-20 rule, and we'll get to some of the comments in just a moment. The 80-20 rule implies that although we like to start to add complexity once there is the right timing for it, so once you've laid a good foundation of strength, flexibility and fitness, start to add more complexity and use things maybe like animal flow, maybe like calisthenics, handstands, press handstands, Even, once you can do really nice pull-ups and chin-ups, start to add muscle-ups into that and learn to transition from the pull-up to the dip and things like that. But we like to keep it as to an 80-20 rule. Try to keep your strength training 80% of the time really, really traditional, really, really following the guidelines of traditional strength and conditioning, the stuff that really is proven to produce results in strength, flexibility, and fitness. And then 20% of the time, mix it up and mix in some fancy stuff, Even when we train calisthenics, we only periodize it for certain blocks of the training. We're not doing it all the time here in Unity Gym. And not many people do unless they're a full-on traditionalist, and you'll always be able to tell a full-on traditionalist in calisthenics. They've got zero leg muscle. Like they do not. If a strong wind would blow them over if they weren't holding onto a monkey bar, and so
you just can't train the legs effectively to develop real mass and real strength without barbells like you can with the upper body. You can with the upper body. You absolutely can. You can use chin-up bars and gymnastics rings or just the ground, and you can develop an amazing physique with the upper body, but not the lower body.
And if you're not holding on to something, if your force doesn't start with grip, then you can't produce force without leg muscle. So anyone who's been a fighter, anyone who's been a wrestler, anyone who's been an athlete in footy, feels...
Frisbee, tennis,
I should have said
soccer.
before, not just bodybuilders, powerlifters, and physique models, but Phil has worked with one of the most competitive football teams in the country. He's seen how real athletes train. We've had real athletes training in Unity Gym, and they generally keep it pretty simple, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've got so much complexity and the skills that they have to deal with, in the actual sport itself, and so, that's where all that, people kind of fall into the trap sometimes of trying to build in resistance movements that resemble the skill they're trying to achieve in, say it's like kicking, doing like a resisted kick or something, or the golf swing is a classic.
This is a great way to take this discussion.
But yeah, it doesn't translate. You need to make your skills for your sport specific to that sport, and if you start adding in crazy resistances, it's not going to work.
And that was really put to the test a couple of decades ago, wasn't it? Where there was a couple of coaches around the world that were trying to argue that using like for example with the golf swing, like grabbing a cable and mimicking the golf swing was going to produce more strength in golf players, and it was smashed when they tested results against people that just did squats and bench and deadlift and things like that, and they got far more power in their swing than the people that were doing the
everything. Baseball, they've done it for baseball, is a big one that they've tested this for, and they there's no rotational exercise, and I'm not saying don't do rotational. We love anti-rotational exercises more than rotational, but I don't know enough to suggest that rotational exercises shouldn't be done. I know that there's a lot of great coaches that do advocate doing rotational movements, but what we're trying to say here, and I think the key to Phil's message now, is when you train for a sport, when you go to the gym, you want to focus on developing a foundation of strength, flexibility, and fitness. And then if you want to carry that over to a sport, you will translate that when you practice the sport. Yep. It's the sport itself that is the specialization training. You don't need to do that in the gym. When you go to the gym is for developing strength, flexibility, and fitness. And arguably you can develop the fitness outside of the gym. You don't need fancy cardio equipment to do that. Quite frankly, it annoys the
thing I'm going to really point out there as well is one of the key things about, especially if you're playing other sports. So like myself, where I play a lot of beach volleyball, do a lot of surfing, and dabble into the triathlon sports and mountain biking. If you're doing other sports outside the gym, and especially in a professional athlete context, if you aren't able to really understand how how much load you're putting through your body in the gym, it becomes very hard to then build a week in a training program that means you're not going to completely overload yourself outside the gym. So if you're doing things in the gym where you can't progressively just move up and up and up, if you were then to play footy as well, it'd be really hard to match that training up and not result in basically an overload injury. So the precision you can get with conventional strength training overload is just so key to than the overall load management of a professional athlete. And they take it to the nth degree at the Giants, where they have GPS monitors making sure they track the not only distance covered but the intensity of the distance covered, so that they can really get that load management down to sort of a fine art. But if then they were in the gym just doing very hard to quantify and hard to measure exercises, it would be near impossible to basically overload that.
And I think that's a really good important thing to understand, because we have gone down this rabbit hole of talking about professional athletes here a little bit, but something that you keep saying, Phil, in these shows, which is that you have to really align with your goals. I mean, if you're going to start, if anybody listening to this is trying to look at how professional athletes train, to think about how they're going to train themselves, ask yourself why. Why are you doing that? Like, do you actually want to compete with some of the best in the world? And then remember the things that you keep saying on these shows, which is that when you look at the way that elite athletes train, so the average Joe who is competing at an elite level versus a professional athlete, you look at the times that they do their runs in, or the way that they compete at their sport, very different, but the way that they actually train is not so different. It's more around the recovery that they have. Because when you're a professional athlete and that's your entire job, you can do these training sessions twice a day for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, and then just recover for the rest of the day. You can't do that if you're doing your training session at 5 a.m. to get it in before the kids are up, and then you do your 10-hour workday, and then you try and do something in the evening again, another run, and try to recover like a professional athlete.
That's the big breakdown. The big difference between a recreational athlete and a professional athlete is recovery. It's not so much the training load or the training variables,
But if we bring it back to what the real take-home message from this is, it's this 80-20 rule when you're developing your program and your at-home workouts, and we're talking about this complexity thing. 80% of your training should be basic stuff. It should be
development of
push,
strength,
pull,
flexibility, and fitness.
Yeah, that's right. It. And the more advanced you get with your training, the more you can shift towards complexity, because you can get to a point where when you hit a high level of strength and flexibility, you become more of a maintenance type thing with your training, where you can maintain what you've got with only 10% of the effort, and when you get to that point, you can start doing more complex stuff if you want to explore, things for fun and to take everything that you've learnt and developed in the gym into something that you can play around with and have fun. But there's few people that are at that level yet, right? Like, most people are at the level where they just need to understand that it's the simple stuff that's going to get them to where they want to go.
Especially for the first sort of 12 to 18 weeks of someone's training age. Like, that's just critical. Yeah. It's just critical to lay down that foundation and then start to explore different things. But it doesn't matter whether you're training to be an athlete or training just to look amazing and feel amazing and boost your confidence. These principles really need to be followed if you want to get a good result. And it's very hard nowadays because you've got so many people marketing an image on social media, which is where we pick up the notion to go and exercise the way we do. And it's really easy to be led down a rabbit hole of absolute mediocrity, you just end up flogging this program that does very little except make you, entertain you. I don't know. Get you moving.
I think to finish it, because we do have to go to our online coaching group in 3 minutes, and I think I
want to get through a couple of these comments too.
For sure. But before we go to the comments, just the last thing to wrap up is remind yourself why you're doing a program. If you're doing an at-home program to get strong, fit, and flexible, choose something that's going to make you strong, fit, and flexible.
Yeah. If you're doing an at-home program to make you look a certain way, to drop weight, to build muscle, choose an at-home workout program that's designed to do that, not to entertain, and make the end product look really fancy and really complex and really difficult and highly coordination demanding,
So Kumaran's saying, morning guys, definitely noticing improvements from the at-home workouts, especially in mobility. Noticed some pretty significant improvements this morning on the shoulder dislocate. I was able to bring my hands a couple of centimetres closer on each end from what I was a few weeks ago. How good is that? I mean,
Kumaran used to be a member of the gym, and he made the fatal error of moving to Melbourne just before the full-on lockdown.
They got the worst outbreak in Australia.
Much love sent to you, brother.
So good. Kumaran's also saying, for me, I've not bought any online program before, the UMS, and not sure I'll need any other ones either, given how how much is available in the UMS, which is so true. Kumran, we've got you covered there, brother.
I love what Aidan Potts has said here. What's up, guys? Listening whilst doing the 18-minute version 2. Loving it.
Yep, and for those of you listening, I just filmed the long, slower version of the 18-minute version 2 the other day, so that's going to be uploaded for you next week. Lee Clements is saying, Jesus Orozco, I hope I'm saying your name right, brother, is saying before it was just bodybuilding and pure weights, the goal of getting super big and stiff without flexibility, mobility, or other movement training. And so UMS is a way better way of training than not being able to actually move.
That's
cool.
Awesome. I'm going to love that.
Yeah, I love it. Lee Clements is saying, bought other groups programs previously but had little connection. Had been doing your 18-minute stretch routine and turned to you guys for the at-home workouts, which were so good. Connected there and doing your programs at the gym now, which is just awesome.
That's awesome.
And Lee is saying goals are to be fit, flexible and strong, which your programs deliver on. And then Kevin Lee is saying, have tried programs before, free ones and paid ones, but none of them really placed emphasis on the idea of balanced training. The programming and options for progressions, regressions like the UMS has are what really make the difference. Thanks, Kevin. That's awesome, man.
That's awesome, guys. That's all we got time for. This has been a really fun series, and for those of you who have downloaded the blueprint, I hope you got something out of the deep dive lessons for the Rapid Implementation Guide. It's a really, really big deal for us. We want to make sure that people are, training the right way, training the better way, and actually getting results. If you're investing time, you want to make sure that you're getting a result from that time, because life is short enough as it is. And if you haven't already, stay connected. Jump over to the UMS Movement Mastermind private Facebook group. That's where we've been interacting with all these guys today. We go live every day for a live recording of our Sound of Movement podcast. You can also stay connected with us by subscribing to the Sound of Movement podcast. It's available on all of the major podcast platforms, and you can also watch the replay of these videos on our YouTube channel if you haven't seen that already. Check out Unity Gym on YouTube. I really hope that you stay connected. I hope to see you in that UMS Movement Mastermind private Facebook group, or in the at-home workouts crew, or even one day our UMS online coaching program.
Why not today?
Why not today? Yeah, absolutely.
Which is where we're going live right now for our weekly coaching call.
Yeah, that's exactly right. For everyone on the live or in the UMS Movement Mastermind private Facebook group, you have 72 hours starting in a couple of hours to grab our handstand masterclass. We're putting that on sale this weekend. If you haven't tried that program, if you've been doing the programs and you want to level up and learn a new skill, it's a really great, we call it the gateway drug. Handstands are the gateway, the key to calisthenics, because they condition all of the right places in the body. We'll post up a little post in the group for that. And unfortunately, if you're not part of the group or the email list, you can't get it. So you just have to pay.
What are you doing?
Yeah, get in that group.
All right, let's go. We got to get into it.
All right, guys. We'll see you all out.
It's about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.